Welcome to Love and Lightning. First comes love, and then comes lightning. I'm your host, Nicole Pelham. Welcome to a soul-charged journey where heart meets power and is transformed in strikes of lightning. All waters lead to the same place, love, and in an ever-expanding universe, stretching and unfolding, sending out waves of love and light, you are not a small part. You are an outsized part of the universe's plan. Here on Love and Lightning, we explore the intersection of spirituality, science, politics, religion, and the one thing we're all searching for, love and acceptance. The kind that reminds us that the universe made us perfectly and that you are in this moment exactly where you're meant to be. Get ready to be inspired with hope for the future, strengthen your path, and bolts of lightning to awaken your soul. Welcome to Love and Lightning. Let's get started. Hello, wonderful beings. Welcome to the official last show of the first season of Love and Lightning on Transformation Talk Radio or wherever you get your podcasts. It's been a really wonderful adventure doing the show. I've really got a lot of information for my book, which I'm super excited about. And it just was really wonderful to fulfill this promise to myself, which was to work on my throat chakra, to free myself and to be open and to be willing to share my ideas with the world, whether that was one person or whether that was thousands. So thank you so much for joining us. Before we get all into all that, Sierra, how are you? Sierra is my producer.
Hello. I am doing good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Sierra, can you play the good news clip for the show?
Of course, here it comes.
They don't show this on the news, but some really important things just happened. Brazil has officially been removed from the UN hunger map. After years of progress, undernourishment has dropped enough that millions more people are now consistently getting enough food. It's a reminder that policy, investment, and social programs can change lives at scale. In parts of Italy, plastic-wrapped fruit is quietly disappearing. Some grocery stores are switching to banana leaves and simple paper string instead. It's not flashy, but cutting packaging at the source stops waste before it even exists. In Yellowstone, bison herds that once roamed separately are now moving together again. This isn't just symbolic, it strengthens genetic diversity and restores natural migration patterns that were broken for over a century. Sweden built a shopping mall where nothing is new. Every store sells repaired, reused, or upcycled items, and each one runs its own repair workshop. It turns fixing things into a normal part of everyday life. In Kenya, community-led conservation projects are restoring land while creating local jobs, protecting wildlife and livelihoods at the same time. When communities benefit directly, conservation actually lasts. Which one of these should every country follow? Earthly goodness. Let's make good news loud.
That's Earthly Goodness on TikTok. You should definitely follow them. I was talking to somebody about good news on TikTok and they were like, I never see good news. And I was like, ooh, but that's choice. You have to actually tell the algorithm that's what you want to see. And when it tries to show you fights inside of supermarkets or screaming fights at high schools, you have to scroll past that nonsense. You can't watch it or it'll show you. It's kind of the same thing right now with I'm seeing a lot of people buying a brush with a certain figure on it so they can clean their toilets and toilet paper with his face on it too. Why are you inviting him into your house? Now you're going to see him more and more and more. Remember, what you give your attention to is what you're going to see. So, yeah, maybe not those things. The buffaloes, that was really cool. I've just watched the whole thing about buffaloes where we used to have 60 million buffaloes in America, and they were responsible for trampling down the seeds into the ground. And it was just amazing how much stuff they did for the grasslands. And now, we don't have any, but there's just a few herds in Yellowstone that are now starting to go together. But that's what they're talking about, bringing back mammoths and some of the other creatures because they were integral to the seeds being dispersed and being crunched into the dirt or the dirt being overturned and all those natural things that we have to go out and do with machinery now. So that's just super interesting. Sarah, did you have any good news you heard about recently?
Well, it's a little more like personal good news, but a few episodes ago when you did your whole episode on manifesting in different ways too, and I told you there are things I need to manifest, and this last week they came true. So just
Yay!
very, very happy and good things going into the holidays and into the new year.
Oh, wonderful. So, if you want to go back and check out that episode and maybe try some of the manifestation techniques that are in there, I can't say that they're all mine. They're definitely like a hodgepodge of like different things that I heard, which I think I do say in the episode. But yeah, just, I mean, like I said, when I was talking to you about those things, it's like I was raised Jehovah's Witness, so we didn't think we needed anything except for to ask Jehovah through Jesus for what we wanted, and it was going to come true if God wanted us to have it. And so, I kind of feel the same way. Like all of this stuff is really fun. I love crystals. I have a couple wands. I can't wait to make my staff for when I'm a crone walking around. But I don't need any of that stuff. The stuff's just fun. And it being fun adds to your excitement, your happiness, and makes it more likely that your thing is going to come true. Whereas, if you want to be in the vibrational like alignment of it. So I'm so excited for you. I can't wait to hear in our break what wonderful things have happened. Yay! I heard some cool news about we have the dolphins that are down in like Baja. They're like in the little peninsula, and they're making a comeback. And they have noticed that their genetic diversity is continuing. So even if sometimes when they're too small, they will have problems with genetic diversity. But just like our orcas here in the Puget Sound, they never had a huge population. They were a niche species that lived in this little area. I just found out that our orcas were probably never more than 150 to 200 orcas in the Puget Sound. This literal residency that stays here, not the transit ones that come up and down. So just understanding that, and that's what we're trying to preserve is those little pockets of creatures, so that as we change the environment, we aren't killing off all the diversity, because diversity is one of the things that makes Earth so cool. Um, I just thought about walking paths. So they're putting in steps, little like it's a little cushion that collects your kinetic energy as you're walking around. They're putting those in cities, even some cities in the U.S. right now. They're putting fishing lights on fish nets, so these little like lights on them that make them glow. And then turtles and bigger animals aren't getting caught in the nets as much, but it's not affecting their like catch of their fish. So just ways for them to get that to work. And they got that to work because they started working with farmers. They didn't just say, "Hey, how can we fix this?" They were like, "Farmers, I mean, not farmers, uh, fishermen, like, how do you think we could make it to where turtles don't get caught in your nets, and sharks don't get caught in your nets, because of course those also mess up their nets because they're too big for the nets. So the fishermen also would do better if those don't get there. So working with the fishermen, they worked out a way to put little lights on the net, and they're trying that all around the Caribbean now to see if that works in all the areas. So that'll be really cool. Green sea turtles returning to California. Actually, it's like a mission next time we go to California to go all the way down to LA and see if I can see the sea turtles that are in the canals that are in LA, because that's where they're returning to. There's a project right now where they're trying to add little restorations in those areas. So I guess one artist did it first. And he like there was a shopping cart, and he just started like bringing in like logs and natural things to like make the area build up sediment. And then over the summer, that made a little wetland area, and there was birds and all these creatures there. And then when the floods came through, it washed it all away, which is probably what it naturally would do. So there's a project now to start putting those in the long canals in California, so they can see if they can build little micro ecosystems that will help things to grow, and then they won't cause a problem when the flooding, because of course that's why they have those big canals there. Also, they're using recycled cell phones as uh, like signals. So they sit out in the woods, and then if they hear like a car or gunshots or cutting, it'll send off an alert to the center, and they'll know that they can send some rangers out to this area to see if someone is illegally logging or poaching or something like that in the area. So it's just some really cool ways to use it, and you can donate your devices to that. They just dropped. I talk about SpongeBob every once in a while because I'm not a fan. Don't shoot me. It's because I was introduced to SpongeBob by my look, this girl is like 20 something years old, by my 3-year-old niece. And I was watching something, some anime or something, and she came downstairs, grabbed a VHS tape, plopped it in the machine, pushed the button on the TV, and then sat down and started watching SpongeBob. She didn't ask us if she could watch TV. She didn't say, "Excuse me, it's my TV time." She just like took over the TV when adults were watching. And I, of course, being raised in the 80s and 90s, like, you don't do that. Adults are watching TV. You don't just come and change the channel. So that's when I was first introduced with SpongeBob. So I was like, kids and show bad, bad, bad. So sorry, little one. She's now a grown woman, but that was my first time introduced to SpongeBob. So I'm not a huge fan of it. My sister said I would love it. maybe I don't know. I'll give it a chance one of these days. But an artist did an installation, and he had a GoFundMe, and they built a giant Squidward, and then they dropped that in the Mediterranean, and that is to prevent those dragnets, illegal dragnets, from coming through because those kill a bunch of creatures and mess up the ocean floor. So those big statues, and they're not the only one. There's a couple other artists there making these big statues that drop to the bottom of the ocean, and then when those nets come through, they get caught on it, and it rips the nets up, and then they can't fish anymore. So it's just a good way to prevent illegal fishing because the ocean is just way too big to monitor like that. There also is some really cool advances with like AI. I'm a big fan of AI, and the AI is going to make medical, well, it's going to make the whole world amazing, but it's definitely going to make medical advances just look like Star Trek. It's about to look like Star Trek. So the newest thing that I was hearing was they're using AI for bionic eyes. So the eye is sending the signals to the brain, and they couldn't translate these signals. So even though they could make the bionic eye see like a computer, it wasn't talking to the brain really well. But now they can use AI to translate those signals and then have the eye actually send the correct signal back to the brain so the brain sees what it wanted. That, of course, can be used like all things in a negative way, but let's stick to the positive here. Them being able to send signals in and making you where you can see what you're seeing, hopefully. So the other one they have for AI is they're using AI hands. So bionic hands, I'm actually someone who may in the future want to try those out because this little pinky is permanently broken from football. And so I have thought about putting a robot pinky on here. They don't have those quite for us yet. But one of the problems with the hands is that they're not like when we reach for something we don't have to look at it, but when they reach for something they have to really concentrate to make their hand grab it. But the new software with the AI makes them remember where their cup is, so they don't have to look at their cup. They can just reach for it and their hand will automatically grab it, just like our hands do. Of course, as someone that just dropped their coffee cup all over the floor, accidents. But those are just some of the wonderful good news that I've heard just over this last month. And remember that if you want to hear good news, you have to really pay attention to it. You have to take the time to train your algorithms and train your mind to like notice when things are making you uncomfortable, notice when things are making you upset, and then make the changes. Not to be blind to changes. I just watched a woman who was like, no one, this is in the 70s, no one lives on the street here like they do in India. And I was like, oh man. And Richard Pryor was like, oh man, yes, they do. So you don't want to be blind to the things that are going on, but you do want to make sure that you notice how you feel and not let yourself be too immersed in it to be a helper. With that, we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we're going to focus on today's episode, which is you. Just you, and that you are amazing. And if you need a reminder, there are about 3 to 4 trillion cells in your body who are rooting for you every single day. With that, we're going to take a break. Love and lightning out. On Love and Lightning. I'm Nicole on Transformation Talk Radio, and today we are here to talk about you. I've spent most of the season talking about things like how you can manifest, about the qubits and God particles that they talk about are listening to us and are deciding and aligning themselves up to what we all believe is going to happen, and how to free yourself, from these different things. But like, how do you actually do that? You're just you. And that seems like such a tall order to make changes. But once you realize that it's not just you, that inside of you, there is an entire universe, just like us right here, that's rooting for you. They're cheering you on. They are constantly working inside of you to make sure that you are healthy and happy, and that's their goal. Like, that's what they spend their whole time doing. That's what we're supposed to be spending our whole time doing here on Earth. So that's what they're doing. They're just in your body, like taking care of you. One of my favorite shows, which we'll show soon, we'll show you guys some examples of that. But that's the most important thing to remember, is that you aren't alone. That not only are you here and all of these little creatures inside of you, but that you have all of these different spirits and things like that that are all focused on you. But this episode is about you and your DNA and your body. I just got a call from someone today who was talking to me about epigenetic memory, which is the idea that we keep in our memory from the past. And of course, that's almost always thought of as a bad thing, right? That we're keeping in our trauma, that we're keeping in our fight and flight reset reflexes. But that doesn't have to be the case. It doesn't have to all be negative things that are being stored in our DNA. And the idea that we can unlock that either through the new science that's being come out or through spirituality is what we're talking about today. So with that, Sierra, can you play the cell carrying episode? This is like one of my favorite videos. I saw this, I don't even know, 20 years ago, and I went, there are little people inside of us. So Sierra, can you play this really cool little video?
Of course, here it comes.
I am the ultimate transporter inside your body. Every day, I carry cargo that weighs 100 times more than my own body. I work tirelessly without ever complaining. I carve paths through mountains and build bridges over water. I am kinesin protein, so tough that even white blood cells curse when they see me. I have 2 ball-shaped motors on my head. My structural region also has a pair of big feet. My main job is transporting various nutrients throughout the human body. I am powered by chemical energy within the body. Of course, I do slack off occasionally. When there is no work, I automatically suppress myself and enter sleep mode. But when work comes along, I grip tightly onto the cargo. The motors on my head immediately generate power, releasing the automatic suppression and activating the kinesin protein. At this moment, I feel like I just drank a dozen Red Bulls. I start transporting cargo without getting tired. During transport, other motor proteins often come to compete for my cargo. These motor proteins pull the cargo in the opposite direction. To protect my cargo, I have to use every ounce of strength to fight for it. Usually, I win the battle, finally succeeding in delivering the cargo to its designated location. Although the work is tough, I am a brainless musclehead who just works hard. Whether it is viruses or hormones, as long as I encounter cargo I can carry, I just charge forward with a load. When you feel unwell, it might just be thanks to my divine assistance. Honestly, if I could grow some brains and do security checks on cargo before transporting, those viruses and bad hormones would be kept out. After watching this, what do you think I should do to get smarter so you can be healthier? Please leave your comments below.
Okay, so I do want this is there's something I'm gonna talk about later, which is a part of the body that we have like taken a virus and like changed it. That little in part where what do you think we should do to get smarter? I'm gonna say we just need to think that they get smarter. I'm gonna say that yeah, no, they start developing like a brain region and then they start being able to like distinguish between the cargo and then like 50 years from now, 100 years from now, our little guys are better at carrying that. They're like, actually, no, we can do this. That actually could probably be done with science. The way that we're doing it now is go in and give him a little brain that goes, that's actually a cold virus. And he whistles and calls in the white blood cells and they go ahead and kill it. But yeah, this little guy is walking around and there's a whole bunch of them walking around carrying cargo, moving things around. The end is kind of unfair because it talks about how you could be, it could be bringing you a virus, but it also is more often than not bringing you good things, bringing your endorphins, bringing you your chemicals that you need to keep your body running. So it's usually doing a good thing. Every once in a while, it's going to bring a bad thing. And you can say that's the virus's fault, but who brought the virus into the body in the first place? You washing your hands, and I'm gonna say the really, I need you guys to do that. After COVID, I thought we'd learned. I should have. I had literally heard on the radio someone say, "When can we stop washing our hands?" to a doctor. You can never stop washing your hands. So it's not the little guy's fault that the germ got in there. It's you. Wash your hands. Quit touching gross stuff. Stop petting the dog while you eat. Which we have a video about later, why that might actually be not too bad. But being clean, like it's our job. Once the germ gets in there, that's not his job to like distinguish it. But that is interesting that they ask at the end, what do you think we could do to make him smarter? Maybe we just need to tell the DNA, hey, you gotta give that guy a little brain, just a little brain that just like is able to distinguish, or maybe a little camera so he can see things, and then someone else can say, hey, that's a bad thing, don't bring that in. But there has to be some way for that to work. But inside of our body are a whole bunch of these, not just this guy carrying things, but there's also the little machine that runs along our DNA and fixes our DNA. And then there's a bunch of fighters in our body that help to keep us clean, white blood cells, T blood cells, and the microflagellum. Can you go ahead and show them the video of this one? This was an anime, and this is the anime for the uh we've actually asked you guys to watch Cells at Work a couple times, so maybe you've seen this one, but can you go ahead and show them this one, Sierra?
She's a macrophage, one of the body's most powerful defense defenders. When a virus invades the human body, she instantly switches into kill mode. In just 2 minutes, she can wipe out tens of thousands of enemies. 2 hours ago, a naive T-cell on patrol stumbled upon a group of zombified cells. Too weak to fight, he could only run for his life. Fortunately, a white blood cell arrived in time. These guys can move freely through tissues and saved him. Those zombies used to be normal cells, but now they're infected. Soon, even more zombie cells appeared, charging right at them. Judging by their behavior, they must have caught the flu virus. Flu viruses come in many strains. They cause fevers over 38 degrees Celsius, headaches, and muscle pain. And since they reproduce inside cells, they have to be destroyed fast. The white blood cell got ready to fight, but the T cell hid behind him, trembling, afraid he'd only get in the way. Then she appeared, a graceful lady with a blood-stained blade. Even surrounded by countless zombies, she moved with elegance and calm. She was a macrophage, beautiful, deadly, and precise. With one strike, she captured a virus, instantly identifying it as type B influenza. She relayed the information to a dendritic cell, who passed the antigen to the T commander. Upon receiving it, the commander sent in the cytotoxic T cells, the body's elite virus killers. The naive T cell knelt down, begging the white blood cell to tell the veterans later that he too managed to kill at least one virus. Before he could finish, loud battle cries echoed from afar. The cytotoxic T cells had arrived, ready to purge every last infection.
So that's Cells at Work. If you haven't watched that, you should definitely watch it. I just had a friend over and we watched the live action version, which you might like better, especially if you're in the Power Ranger generation. Maybe you'll like that one better where it's live action, but it's really, really fun. And that one's a movie. This poor girl in this story, she literally gets sick with everything, from like influenza all the way up to cancer. So she has a really rough go of it. I think she may there's another one I think that has pregnancy. I haven't Cells at Work is a little bit young for me, so I've watched a few episodes here and there, but I haven't watched the entire series. But there's a second season which is a guy character because they go through the whole baby making process, and I was like, oh, Japan. They're like, no, this is how you make a baby. So if you haven't checked it out, you should definitely check out Cells at Work. A lot of doctors have talked about how accurate it is, how, there's a little bit of liberties here or there with like the art and stuff like that. Of course, there's not actual like structures inside of our body that look like buildings, but there are little buildings in there. So just understanding that there's some liberties, of course, but that there is, honestly, I feel like Cells at Work may be underselling the amount because Cells at Work acts like it's a city. And a city isn't 30 trillion cells. A city is, our entire planet right now is 9 billion, I believe. Like I was like, oh, do you know? So like that amount would make it more of a universal thing inside of our body. The other thing is that our body is not all ours. At least half of the cells are not ours. They don't make up half of our body. By mass, 90% of the body is us, but 50%, 57% of the cells are not us. There are other biologicals that are in our body that are helping, that are doing like work. They talk about that with our stomach having a whole bunch of different bacteria in there that helps it to do better with food. And without that bacteria, we don't do very well with digesting our food. So understand that all of those things are all inside of us, making our body work and making sure that it continues to run. And when you think about it as being a universal force, and you think about how well you're taking care of your body, when we talk about like the earth, like why doesn't God give rain there? Why is this happening? But you are the God of your body, right? You're the universal like person in charge of making sure that it has water, making sure that it has food, making sure that it has the vitamins it needs, making sure that it has the rest that it needs. Those are all things that you're in charge of. So when we think about that and reflecting as above so below, that what we see is being mirrored in the outside, making sure that we're taking care of ourselves and all of these trillions of beings inside of us is something that reflects in the outer world as well. It's something that I had to learn because I was both doing a lot of sports and stuff and not doing a lot of care things for my body, where I was like, come on body, let's go, and learning the balance. And that also started to reflect in my outside world, that my things were taken better care of, people took better care of me, and in the long run it just seemed like everything was working together in a more balanced and cohesive way inside and outside of my body when I started taking better care of myself. So those are things that you can keep in mind, but remember that that is the truth of it is there's a whole bunch of creatures in there. How smart they are. They're talking about the macrophage compared to the, little carrier that was carrying the things. Everybody has different levels and different skills that they're doing inside our body, but that all of them are rooting for you and hoping that you continue so that they can continue on, just like we hope the earth continues, and we should work towards that. With that, we're going to take a little break before we come back and talk more about how this relates to spirituality. Love and lightning. We're back on Love and Lightning. I'm Nicole with the final episode of season one, and we are discussing you. And that it is only you, but not really, because inside of you, there's a whole bunch of beings that are also rooting for you and sending you energy and hoping that you are doing well in your life, because that is what makes their lives also go well. Uh, the negativity we see today out in the world is also coming in a lot. So remembering that that is not just affecting us, but it also is affecting our internal selves or these other beings that we have inside of us. So what we're giving them is what we're going to see reflected out. One of the examples I give, I've talked about a lot on the show, is our or watching on TV or music, any of those things like that. All of those are entertainment tools, and they should be used and thought of as such. You don't just watch whatever's on because it's on TV. You need to notice how it makes you feel. Is it refreshing you? Are you feeling scared or anxious afterwards? When you watch it, is your body tightening up or is your body like relaxing? And it's okay to have some of those things. Like I said many times, love horror movies. Well, I should clarify, monster horror movies. I don't like slasher movies at all. But I love those. I have friends who really love like thrillers and they really love detective stuff and murder things. But I do notice how that affects each one of us. When I listen to NPR a lot, I become very debating and very like, I talk like a reporter to people because it's what I'm listening to all the time. When I have friends who are listening to stuff where they're listening to, I had a friend who was listening, really loving this gossipy lady who was really fun, but I could notice that like a little bit of tit for tat was coming out, a little bit, it just became a little bit more catty, the relationship, the way that they talked, because that's who it becomes one of your other friends. So remembering that that is coming into your life and that is going and affecting not just you, but all of your inner body. And then that's okay, just figuring out how much effect you want, because you are here to feel things, you are here to experience things. I was just watching that someone on TikTok who was talking about how this is a prison planet. And I've had this discussion with someone before, and I was like, oh, man. And they're like, oh, she's the ideal prisoner. Give her lots of stuff. And, I was like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that if I'm showing everybody, like, oh no, like, it is a prison planet. You did get sent here to do something, and they want to see that you're going to behave well before they let you free. Then, yeah, start behaving well. That to me made it even more that you should behave well. It was like, yeah, but if it's a prison planet, behave well. But I don't believe that. And after being raised in the cult, the denial of the beauty and the wonder that we're being given by the universal creator, by God, or by whatever, would be upsetting if I was the creator, and that I don't think gives justice to the things that we're being given to look at. That like that we were supposed to enjoy the sunset every day, that we're supposed to enjoy playing with pets, that we're supposed to enjoy spending time with their family, that we're supposed to enjoy, the rain and the sun, that we're supposed to enjoy and experience those things because that's what we're here for. And that experience goes into our inner selves and changes who we are. Um, with the changing of who we are, we have the external forces that are always coming in, i.e., we have that whole three-eye atlas thing. But beyond just like, the extraterrestrial forces, the solar winds, you also just have, like I said, the bombardment of the external stuff from the world. And then you have the energies that are coming in and how you're registering those and making sure that those are also good for your body, that they're bringing things. And I was recently thinking about that with all of my objects I like to keep around all my stuff. And I was like, it is something where like if there are beings and stuff where they'd be like, wow, no, I really like going by that place and I really like looking at all the crystals, or oh, sometimes I swing by there because there's beautiful music being played on the instruments in there, and that would attract and bring in forces that would enjoy and love those things, and keep away forces that would not enjoy those things, that aren't going to like the smell of incense, that aren't going to like the sound of the ringing bells, or the chimes or the piano. They're just not going to like those. And so they're going to stay away. And those things are bringing things into us and then pushing things away that we don't need. So just keeping those things in mind. There are some scientific things for this, and I'm gonna have these two are just such fun examples and kind of gross. I have a foster puppy right now, so we are right now working on puppy licks. I don't like dogs to lick me in the face. Hands, sure, I can wash that. Legs, okay. Don't lick my face. You lick your booties. But scientifically, dog kisses may be good for you. So, can you play that video for us, Sierra, about dog kisses?
A crazy new study just dropped that's so wild I didn't even believe it at first, but it's from a reputable journal, so let me tell you about it. The scientists followed 345 teenagers over time and found that the ones that happened to get dogs became happier. That was just replicating previous research. But then they swabbed the kids' mouths. They put them in sterile rats, meaning like rats that had no germs on or in them. Then, after a week or two, they tested how pro-social the rats were by seeing if they tried to help another rat that was in distress. The rats with the doggy mouth germs via the kids were more pro-social than the rats with the non-dog having kids' mouth germs. The scientists believe that having a dog literally makes you a better person, not because of the dog's like inherent nice fine qualities, but because of its gut microbiome that gets transferred to you. I'm assuming via doggy kisses, probably other ways. Isn't that crazy? It reminds me of the plot of Pluribus, to be honest.
It's just so gross. It's so gross. But before you rush out and get a dog, Sierra, can you play the other video?
So yes, a third of the people on Earth really do have this brain parasite, but the crazy part is this might be making us love cats more, and it could even be making us hotter. So this parasite called Toxoplasma gondii needs two hosts to complete its life cycle. The adult stage is found in our cats, but it has to get eaten by the cat to get there in the first place. So the first stage of this parasite's life cycle is in the cat's prey, which are a bunch of birds and mammals, including humans. Even though hopefully our cats aren't eating us, this parasite did evolve in a world where big cats were eating our early human ancestors. So as far as the parasite's concerned, we are still prey. So this study finds that rats infected with toxoplasma will stop running away when they smell cat urine and actually start actively seeking it out, suggesting that the parasite rewires their brain to stop feeling fear and to start to be attracted to the scent, essentially delivering the parasite inside the rat to the cat that will then eat it so the parasite can finish its life cycle in the cat. This is called the fatal attraction phenomenon, but it's not unique to rats. This is also seen with chimpanzees and leopards, and even in humans, particularly in males with toxoplasmosis. When blindly presented a bunch of different urines to sniff, they rate them as all repulsive except cat urine, which they rate as pleasing. So this suggests that there's a subset of the human population out there with this parasite that doesn't know why, but they just love cats more than everyone else. But the craziest part is that this parasite is also found in semen, suggesting that it can be sexually transmitted. And we know that it can pass from mother to fetus. So clearly it benefits this parasite for its host to be sexually successful. And this study found that men with toxoplasmosis had on average higher testosterone levels, potentially making them more desirable and motivated to seek out intercourse. And in what seems almost unbelievable, this study found that men and women with toxoplasmosis were rated to be more attractive, with more facial symmetry, healthier looking, and even report having more sexual partners than non-infected people. So not only does this parasite want you to get eaten, but apparently it also wants you to get some action first. So this is definitely not an endorsement to go out there and get infected. There can be complications like I mentioned in part 1, but if you are super hot and you love cats a little too much, maybe you now know why.
So I heard about toxoplasticity a long, long time ago, probably I don't know, in my early 20s. There was some talk about that was why people had schizophrenia in Paris, and that coincides with them starting to have cats indoors, but that has been like disproven because we've had cats for a long time. But that this sickness, this illness that rewires your brain, this virus, it makes you more likely to take chances. And I've been thinking about that because I was like, oh, that is weird because my family is not like my dad was a firefighter, but like he was doing that for a job. My sister did do taekwondo, but I was like jumping out of planes, had a motorcycle, I like playing with like wild animals. I just like a little bit past the adventure point of most people. And excuse me, me and Sarah are talking about free solo, and he's going to be climbing a building, I guess, in January, which I've watched a few of those live. I just watched the skateboarder like skateboard off of the top of a building, and that was pretty cool but scary for me to watch them do it. So I don't know if I'll watch him do it live, but he's one of the people that I literally thought was like either from childhood he really didn't have it, or yeah, maybe he has toxoplasticity. Maybe he like he really needs this crazy amount of energy and activity for him to really feel alive. So this is one of those things to keep in mind. But, maybe the best idea I think would be to get a dog and a cat. That way you cover your bases. You're both friendly and hot. So there's lots of ways for our bodies to be changed that we aren't aware of. I was just talking to someone about malaria and how you need to get shots for that when you go to certain places. They're talking about how long COVID is messing up people's brains and causing kind of an autoimmune reaction. I haven't got to all of it, but it is causing like the brain is changing due to COVID. So there are always little factors that are coming in and changing us and moving our bodies here or there, and we can be in charge of some of those factors. What we eat, what we are consuming with media, and what we're doing with our body. We can be in charge. I really love doing tea. I like a burdock root, which is supposed to like help inflammation, and maca honey, and I'm taking like this little krill supplement now. So those are little things that I'm trying to do to just help my body along, not to prevent its death because that is coming, but to help make sure that while we're in there, everybody is getting all the nutrients they need to have the best lives possible so that I can have the best life possible out here. With that, we're going to take a little break. Love and Lightning on Transformation Tackle Radio. We'll be right back with our homework for the show. Hello, welcome back to Love and Lightning. I'm Nicole, and it's time for your homework. You should have guessed your homework was probably going to be cells at work because if you haven't seen it, you should see it. And you probably haven't seen all of it yet, so you should watch it. My friend just watched this movie. She said it was really, really good. I was looking online, and someone was like, "You cannot do a show that makes me feel bad for viruses." Like, now I feel bad for blowing my nose. I was like, because everything's alive. I feel bad for killing mosquitoes. For a while, I was doing the whole Buddhist non-killing them thing, and I don't like them to bite me. And then they were biting me, so I was like, well, if you bite me, I get to smack you. And then I said, oh no, we can't do that anymore. It doesn't matter if they bite you or not. You cannot kill these creatures anymore. It's not acceptable. So from now on, we're not going to kill mosquitoes. So we are back in the not killing any creatures mode. I also just found out recently, for those of you that are afraid of spiders, I don't know if this will help you. It didn't tell my sister and mom. We only have two spiders in America that you need to worry about. There's only the brown recluse and the black widow. No other spiders in America have a uh, medically concerning bite. So you other spiders are okay. We don't have to keep killing spiders, even if they're in your house. They're not going to bite you. You could just put them outside. And brown recluses and black widows are very afraid of humans, so you don't have to worry about those. So I'm being a lot better about spiders. Not that I was killing them, but I was kind of searching every area for spiders and like making sure they weren't in my bed. And now I'm like, no, I actually am not going to worry too much about that because they've said that we only have to worry about these two spiders, that other spiders will bite you. I know here in America, I mean, here in Washington, I was always told to watch out for the wolf spider here. And they said no, they said that bite will hurt. But it usually is not, it's not medically significant. It doesn't kill people. It may swell. It doesn't eat your skin up or anything like that, but it's just a spider bite. And I was like, oh, because I'm pretty sure I've been bitten by those before. Those little long-legged ones, they bite me every once in a while too. Watch out for those though. Those things are fast. They act like they're all slow and they can't walk, and then you try to catch them. Those spiders are fast. They actually kill other spiders, which is why they're wonderful to have in your like attic or in your basement. But I don't let them be in my house because they run around the house at night, and I don't like that. They have to do that in the basement. But with that, we're gonna do a little homework show. So Sierra, could you show us the homework for the day, the clip for cells at work?
Who was going to tell me that there was an anime about the human body? And the main people in it are in a grumpy sunshine relationship. The white blood cell and the red blood cell.
2 trillion cells, each and every one working hard to maintain a healthy, effective... If you don't know what she's talking about, then are you in for a cerebral surprise? The show is called Cells at Work, and aside from a few artistic liberties, it's surprisingly accurate scientifically. It's set in the body of possibly the least fortunate human in history who gets exposed to everything from pneumococcus to cancer. At one point, a giant needle even needs to come down to the sky to hydrate all of those little anime cell characters so that they can avoid heat stroke. The whole thing runs for 5 seasons and is packed full of drama and has great educational value for everyone from someone who doesn't have a biology background to even experts who can notice the small details. So this one I have to definitely recommend adding to the watch list if you haven't done already.
Yeah, so Cell's Work is really, really wonderful. Pretty family friendly. There's blood because it's the human body, so there is blood in it. But other than that, it really is just talking about the human body, which I really do feel like kids should know. I feel like they should know how their human body is working and know how amazing and blessed we are to be, running around in these vessels here on this amazing planet. And one of my favorite shows, Adventure Time, they say when he has these like special glasses on, he's looking at the human body. He goes, everything small is the same big, and everything big is the same small. And they kind of like zoomed into the body and like showed all the little workings of the body, and then zoomed out to the universe, and then zoomed into like where we are, which is kind of like I mean, it's hard to tell because when you are in the middle, like when you're the one looking, you're going to think you're in the middle. But according to scientists, we're kind of in the like middle ground. We're not micro and we're not macro. We're like right in the like middle perfect spot to be able to observe both the small and the big. We're just like literally in the perfect spot, guys. So with that, we're gonna end this season's first season of Love and Lightning. It's been so wonderful. I want to thank Transformation Talk Radio for letting me do this, for inviting me. I want to thank Sierra and Nate. Nat was my first producer, and Sierra is my producer right now. I'm really hoping to have Sierra back next year as my producer. I want to thank the entire team. Pat has a really great team behind her because it really was just a wonderful first season. They gave me a lot of help with just how to put the show together. And then, I've had a great guidance from my producers. So it's been really, really wonderful getting to know all of you. And I hope you've enjoyed the show. I'm going to be really focusing on promoting the show for the next 6 months. Got a crazy schedule going on. My friend was like, what's going on for you? So we should hopefully have the book out that'll be Spirituality in Action, and then hopefully the book On Your Child's an Ass. The first step is admitting you have a problem. My music is already out, but I'll be adding songs and stuff like that. I think I want to put the Love and Light albums out a little bit more. And then, of course, I'll have a watch list that has all the homework if you missed any of the homework. All these shows on here were really shows that I just really loved. I was like, no, these are shows that a lot of them did not get enough press. They were just kind of like underrated, or shows that are so old that I'm not sure if this generation has really seen them and have been exposed to them. So please check out my watch list that'll be posted on my Substack and on the website. With that, Love and Lightning, I thank you so much for tuning in. If you are interested in following me, you can follow me on the website. There is a newsletter. I'll be doing my Manifestation Minute newsletter. So all those things are all available on the Love and Lightning website. Thank you so much. And again, remember that when you want something, all you need to do is ask the universe, listen to the spirits and qubits, and let the light and the love of the universe guide you towards your highest and best timeline. Love and Lightning out. Thank you for listening to Love and Lightning with Nicole. Catch us every second and fourth Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. If today lit something inside you, subscribe, share, or like, and spread the spark. Ready to be inspired? Take next steps? Check us out at loveandlightning.com. Check out my books, music, upcoming events, and let's stay connected on my social media. You can find me at Bad Vegan Nikki or lovealightning.com. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.